Hey everyone, Vlad here. I want to say thank you for tuning in to my latest video. And normally, every week I do a camp showcase of the camp that I've put together. But this week there's a lot going on, and I need to do some grinding inside of the game for some of the rewards. But I do want to still provide you guys with some content. And so I decided to put together a little tips and tricks camp building video for you. And some of this is stuff that I've been asked for from different viewers. So I'm going to start off with double-sided walls, and I've already got it started here in front of us. But you're going to need two foundations, and you're going to need the concrete walls. Some other wall, it doesn't really work with the other wall building sets, and so I recommend using the concrete walls to get everything set, and then you can switch them to what you want. But basically, you need to turn them into door frames, and then you'll be able to place two walls in the middle between the two foundations, and then you have wallpaper on both sides, and the actual wall texture is not showing. And then once you have them there, you can then switch them using the replace function to solid walls. You can switch them to different interior, exterior wall building sets. If you wanted to remove that second foundation, you're going to need to turn everything to the doors. And I'm going to show you this. This is what I call magical doorways, and they help out with different builds for different things. So it's just good to know the trick, but it also helps you remove that second foundation if you want. You don't want one on your exterior wall if that's what you're going for. So as you can see, placing walls that are actually doorways on top of the foundation allows you to move it from underneath without it telling you that something will be unsupported. So just make sure that all walls attached to the foundation are doorways, and you will be able to remove foundations underneath. What I'm showing you here is floating walls. So if you place um, a wall attached to a roof, it'll actually allow you to remove the roof if there's a wall on either side. And then you can remove everything else, and the result is a floating wall that you can now use as an anchor point for different build elements. Now, another thing that comes up as you're building is sometimes you want to do these like little lean-to type builds where you don't have walls everywhere, but you do still want them to look supported. You don't want to look like they're floating everywhere. And then also you have to deal with the snap points to these foundations, and they can be a little bit weird, but they don't let you put them directly on the corners. So to do that and to get around it, we're going to actually use the stairs and some upper floors. And then once we're able to place our column, then we'll remove all of this upper wall structure. So place down your upper floors to where you get a right angle, and then it'll let you place your stair column inside of that right angle. And if you've lined it up correctly, then that comes down directly on the corner of your foundation that is underneath. And I'm going to do it again here for the other side. And we've got our right angle established. We're going to place down our column. Notice that they're both in the corners, and we can remove everything else. But we have our columns where we want them, and now we can place our roof back in place, and we're good to go, and everything looks supported. And then next thing I have to show you is what I like to call magical columns. So we've got magical doors, and we can remove foundations from underneath them. But this is how we're going to be able to do some different crazy stuff with the columns. And what we can do is can place a couple, one stacked on the other. You can do this with the tall ones or the stubby ones. But then we're going to create a blueprint of just those columns. Don't include the foundation that's underneath it. Only the two columns, whether you chose the stubby ones or whether you chose the tall ones, doesn't really matter. Just place them and blueprint them. And then once you're done blueprinting them, um, when you go to place, instead of to the stairs, you're going to use your blueprint. All right, let's find it here. Okay, there it is. So now we can place this anywhere we want, and I mean anywhere. It could be in the middle of the air. It doesn't really matter. They can see how they're not attached to anything. They're just floating there. They're magical columns now. You also notice that I can remove these in whatever order I want, and it doesn't affect the placement of the other one. So keep that in mind. Just because we stack the two, this is just allowing you to get it where you want it. You can remove the extra column later. Now this is how I worked on getting my aquariums from my last video and longfin run, the wharf that I had. I used the display cases, and I was able to stick some of these succulent plants inside of them to where they merge, and essentially get an aquarium effect like this was the greenery growing out of the bottom of the aquarium. And then I used the atomic light from the atomic shop to um, represent a jellyfish inside of my tank. So um, I just stacked some things to get the look that I wanted, and now I need to find a way to put it inside of this display case. Now, they're not objects that you can assign to the display case, so we're going to have to find some way of merging these two objects. And the way we're going to do that is with the flamethrower, if we can find it here. It's got to be here somewhere. Okay, so we got our flamethrower, and we're actually going to destroy our display case. Alright, so flamethrower did its job. We can now store that. Also, storing the flamethrower will repair it, so that next time you place it down, it's got full health. Keep that in mind too. So now you can tell we can use this yellow outline of the display case as a guide to how we want to place our plant. But you can see it's very easily letting me put it basically in the same spot that that display case occupies. But the display case is destroyed, and it'll still let me place these. And then all you have to do is repair your display case, and now you have your plant coming out of the bottom to kind of give off the aquarium vibe that I was able to put together. Now this is just thrown together really quick, so you can get really creative. You don't have to use that as the base to stick the plants on. I use the different things, tables and different versions of the succulents and stuff to get the different effects inside of my aquariums. Now, from here, all you got to do is put some blue light above it. So either use the cycling lights or use the icicle lights from the holiday event that were in the gifts. Now, the flamethrower trick and the merging of objects works for so many different things, and I've seen people use different tricks, but I still like the flamethrower because it's the simplest of everything that I've come through with merging objects. This is one I use a lot. I like to stick things in the stove. So I've destroyed my stove, and we're going to stick this alligator into the stove where passersby could tell that I have an alligator in the stove. So see how nicely that just went in there. Different objects will behave differently, obviously, so you may have to do some experimenting, but these are all fun things to play around with. If you're building, you can take advantage of. But notice I can move them apart. I'm not going to be able to merge them again unless they get destroyed. And then I'm going to show you this plushie or stuffed animal, whatever you want to call it. The sheep squatch one has some special properties. It actually likes to merge with things without any special things being arranged. As you can tell, I was able to just slide him into that toilet and place him down without having to destroy anything. And that doesn't really work with any of the other stuffed animals that I've played around with. I'm going to show you here, but basically when you try and place the other stuff, it goes right on top of the toilet. So, and it doesn't always, this works with different objects too. It doesn't only work with the toilet. It's just the toilet is fun to play around with. And let's see. Yeah, so we'll try another one. So we placed him, and nope, he won't go at all. So, like I said, our friend the sheep squatch stuffed animal is magical, and he just slides into objects, no problem. It may be frustrating trying to place him on those objects if that's where you want it to be, but for purposes of hiding other things in them, he is very beneficial. I also like sticking this alien inside of my outhouse if I place it inside the camp. But as you can tell, when I do it, he jumps to the top. He doesn't stay on the floor. And the way we're going to fix that is by doing a blueprint of our alien. And then when we place him using the blueprint option, then it will actually allow us to place it and it will stay inside of the outhouse. Now this works for other things too. A lot of you may have placed down stairs and then tried to put something at the back end of the stairs and then it just immediately jumped to the second floor. Well, blueprinting the item will most likely help you solve that issue and get it placed where you want it to be. And I'll show you here. We're going to use the blueprint, and our alien, instead of jumping to this roof, is now sitting in the outhouse. So all good to go there. And also, I didn't pay attention to this early in the game, but you can also lock that outhouse door, so that's kind of cool. And the last thing I have to show you today is going to be how to get some floating items in the camp. And for that, I like to use the actual camp device. And you can place things on top of the camp device, which I'm going to show you here with the Mr. Fuzzy Ride. And then you can remove the camp device and move it someplace completely different. But whatever you placed on top of it stays exactly where it was. It's still floating. It doesn't move with the camp. It doesn't store it. It just stays there. And you can play around with different heights by putting different things on the ground to get you to the height that you want. So feel free to play around with it. But if you're doing this, either place these type of things first and build around them, or you might spend some extra time getting it stationed just right, because it isn't 100% exactly how it's going to allow you to fit it on top of the camp, but once you've done it a few times, you get the hang of it and you can place things where you want. But those are the camp tips and tricks that I've got for you this week. Hopefully they help you out with your builds. I use them quite a bit in my different camps, depending on what look I'm going for or what type of need that I have to show. And they're all very beneficial, especially the double-sided walls comes in handy quite often, but the magical floors and those magical columns, I think right now are the ones I use the most to get different things and different effects done inside the camp. And then you can also make yourself some nice aquariums at this point. So if you like the video, leave me a thumbs up in the comments, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you.